After we got over that decision of the dams, which we've all agreed that the dams will go out in time, and we're setting up that process to do that, we still wanted to plan for the corridor itself coming from the north of the city to the south, which is almost 7 miles long. And we wanted to take another second look. We've received a lot of great comments, a lot of cards, a lot of information through surveys, providing direction, and the committee members have been meeting monthly over the last year to work with our consultant to go over that. Tonight what I'd like to do is let the consultant introduce himself and his staff member, and then give you a little background and information about what we're going to be looking at tonight. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Jeff.
My name is Jeff McMiniman. I'm a landscape architect with Hoisington Cobra Group. We're officed in Minneapolis. We're a full-service planning and landscape architecture firm. We do a lot of park and trails planning. We do planning of downtowns. We do a lot of comprehensive planning. And we also work on a lot of river corridor master plans. In the past 10 years, I've worked on the master plan for the Mississippi for the city of St. Paul. It's called the Great River Passage Master Plan. I worked on a riverfront master plan for Fergus Falls last year, and I'm currently working on a master plan for the Mississippi River Gorge in the city of Minneapolis for the Minneapolis Park Board. We're excited to be working with you all here in River Falls on the Kinni. Our work on the project started in April, and so we're a little bit late to the game. So I'm going to introduce my colleague, Jody Rader, who's been working with me on this project. And it's been a pleasure to work with the committee. You have some great community members here who are really passionate about the Kinni. I'm going to talk to you for tonight about a couple of things. Talk about the work that we've completed to date and where we are in the process, and then the purpose of this open house and how you can provide input. So the first task for us was to get up to speed on what you all have been working on for the past couple of years. There was another team working with you on some river ecology work, looking at dam, no dam scenarios, and now you've decided to remove the dams. So we needed to get caught up on that work, which is something that we did in that first month of our work. The other thing is there's been a tremendous amount of community input, and we needed to get up to speed on that as well. So what we did was we poured through all of the community input that was provided to us through all those dozens of different meetings that many of you have been to for the past couple of years. And what we did was we pulled some key takeaways from that work. And so we looked at things that like, what are you interested in parks and recreation? Are you interested in better connectivity to and from the river? Things like that, economic activity, those kinds of things, tourism related to the river, river ecology. So those are things that we did first, was derive some key takeaways from your input. Then we toured the site, and we hiked all over the river corridor, the entire length of the project area that we've been working on. We also got out in June with the corridor committee, and we paddled a section of the river. And then in June, late June, early July, I came out and fished the river a couple of times. Did some fly fishing. Not very good at that. I'm much better at bottom bouncing for walleyes. But that was a lot of fun, and it's been great to get to know the Kinni much better. And then what we did was we identified some issues and opportunities through the research on the work that had been prior to this, the key takeaways from the community input, our impressions on our tours, and then working with the committee on some of the key priorities for the River Corridor Master Plan. We put together a list of issues and opportunities, and we've got some boards here tonight that identify those issues and opportunities. These first 4 boards that you see here, we kind of broke it up into the upper Kinni, which was north of Division Street, the middle Kinni, which was between Division Street and Powell Dam, and then the lower Kinni, which was south of Powell Dam. Then what we did was we did some precedent analysis, which is the kind of work that we'll often do on projects like this. So we looked at other river cities and towns across America. Some out in the West, some in the Midwest. And we look at the kinds of common themes that a lot of those cities are doing that are successful in their downtowns. How do they connect their downtown to their riverfront? What kinds of economic activities are going on there? How is the tourism working? What kinds of recreational activities? How do they take care of their river? And in addition to looking at those river cities, we looked at things like conservation easements, stormwater, best management practices, floodplain parks, river walks. We looked at really specific kinds of things to get some best examples of how to succeed. And then we reviewed all of that work with the corridor committee, and then we started on the preliminary planning concepts. And we've got a couple of things here tonight for you to look at. So we've got the issues and opportunities I mentioned here. And then the next three boards are what I call educational pieces. And we thought it'd be helpful for people to better understand the kinds of tools that might be at our disposal to help protect the Kinni moving on into the future. So things like conservation easements. The other thing is green infrastructure, which is a term that we use in our profession. Engineers use it all the time. What it really is ways to try and capture the stormwater runoff and filter it and infiltrate it before it makes its way into the river, which helps protect the quality of the water quality of the river and the habitat quality of the river. So we have an educational piece on green infrastructure as well. And then we have another one on the economic benefits of open spaces and green spaces. And we put that one together because when you look at some of the maps over here, you'll see, oh boy, that's a lot of green space, right? And in the future, when the dams are removed, those impoundments, Lake Louise and Lake George, they become potential open spaces for the community as well. And some people may say, well, why don't we develop it? Well, until we know what the river restoration plan really looks like, we don't know where that floodplain is going to end up. But what we do know from the earlier study that was done by the other team is that it'll predominantly be wetland areas and floodplain areas. So that's why we look at floodplain parks as good examples for how to treat those areas. So, but there are economic benefits to open space. They may be different than being able to develop on that space, but they enhance quality of life. They can help reduce the cost of municipal facilities, stormwater treatment infrastructure that goes into the ground. And there are a number of other economic benefits too from open space. So we thought it'd be helpful to have those kinds of things. And then over here, what you're going to see is these next 5 boards here. I'll call them layers of information, right? At a corridor-wide scale. They include the entire corridor and really most of your city. And what we're looking at is parks and recreation on this board, natural resources and river ecology on this board, access and connectivity, economic development, and land use. And how do those all relate to the river corridor? So how do we better connect neighborhoods to the river corridor? How do we better connect the downtown to the river corridor? What kinds of, how does some of the potential new park space tie in with existing park space? What kinds of things should we be looking at? You know, this is really like a 30-year plan, right, for the river corridor. Are there some other economic development opportunities near the river corridor that we should be looking at? This plan here is what I call the composite plan. So it puts all of these different layers of information together all on one plan. And then the next set of plans here, we're looking, kind of diving a little deeper into the middle Kinni, because this is where a lot of the change is going to happen when those dams are removed, right? Those are so it includes the impoundment areas. This first diagram here shows you kind of the focus areas that we've been working on in the middle Kinni. The next plan is more of an illustrative plan that shows you some of the planning concepts for both downtown, the Lake George area, and the Lake Louise area, and some areas just off of the Lake Louise area here as well. And then this final board here illustrates some concepts for Main Street. When we started to dive into it, we saw that there's opportunities to enhance Main Street with street furnishings, pedestrian scale lighting, plantings, and there may be some other ways to reorganize Main Street to try and make it more pedestrian friendly. So those are the kinds of things that we've been looking at up to this point. What we'd like is for you to help us, because there's still more planning for us to do. We'll be back here in November, I think it's mid-November. And so what we'd like you to do is let us know if we're on the right track tonight, all right? So there's a number of different ways you can do that. And we'll get this stuff laid out for you a little bit better here in a second. One is what I call a dot exercise. So if there are ideas or concepts on any of these boards that you like, we'd ask you to put a green dot next to it. If there are ideas or concepts that you think are not good for the community, you don't really like them, you're not behind them, we'd ask you to put a red dot next to that idea. All right? And then the other ways you can provide input are, we'll have a bunch of Post-it notes over here. We've got pencils and pens over here as well. You can write your ideas down and stick them right on the board. If there's something we've overlooked, something you'd like, something you don't like, whatever it is, whatever thought you have, you can write it down on a Post-it note and put it on the board. And then we've got some comment sheets here as well. So you can provide your thoughts, and they can be anonymous, and put down your ideas, things you like, don't like, things we may have overlooked, things you'd like us to focus on in the next month and a half. And if after you filled out a comment sheet, there's a box right over here. If you could put it in the box, that'd be great. And then all of this stuff will be on the city's website tomorrow. And there will be an opportunity for you to review all of that stuff on the website and think about it longer than just tonight, okay? And you can provide your input online as well. Is that right, Mary? Anything else I need to add to that? All right. So with that, I'm going to say, again, thanks for being here. We'll get things set up a little bit better over here in a second. And you're welcome to just walk around the room. We'll have people at stations here. If you have questions, feel free to ask us, and we'll do our best to help answer.